Hi, in this video I want to show you some other loops that are available for us to use. We saw the while loop, there is a do while loop and a for loop. Here is the W3 schools, you can see the while loop here. The do while, really I'm not a big fan. The do while just says do and then code block and then you have the while condition. It is just a while loop flipped backwards on its head. Okay, so the while loop looks for the condition to begin with. The do loop looks for the condition at the end. So here the code will be executed at least once. Here the code will not be executed at least once. So that is the difference. If we go back to our demo, I think demo 3, the Sentinel one. Let's go back to that. So we could write that as a do while. And let me tell you why. So here we are forcing the answer to yes, and then we are saying while the answer is yes. Instead, what we can do is we can change this code to say do. And then take this out. So now what happens is, so we are doing this, and then at the end of the statement, you will say while answer equal to yes, semicolon. So we are just like reversing it. Instead of forcing the answer to yes for the first iteration, we are just saying, hey, don't worry about the answer. I know you won't have the answer till the end. At the end is when you will have the answer. So instead of using a do loop, let me instead of using a while loop, let me use a do loop. So you're saying just do all of this code. In the end, you better have an answer. If the answer is yes, you can proceed. Otherwise, you cannot proceed. So we just like flip the condition. So we are letting this loop run at least once. So now let's see how that goes. So string answer doesn't have any value. It doesn't give us any error. So the score is 56. I don't want to continue. And then it says the average is 56. So here the condition is executed at the end. This is a much better way of using a situation for using the do while as opposed to using the while loop. For demo 4, we'll be using a for loop. This is my personal favorite. So a for loop is a little more intuitive in my opinion at least. So let me show you how a for loop looks. If you see any code I write, I usually use only the for loop. I don't use the while or the do while. So a for loop looks like this. So this statement 1 is going to be the initial startup condition. Statement 2 is the condition when you have to stop execution. After this is met, you have to stop execution. And this comes with a counter. This is the counter. It automatically comes with a counter for us to use. So if, for example, you want to just write console.write line, you want to say hello. And let's say you want to say 3 times. So here what we would do is we would use a counter variable. That's the starting. First time it is 1. I want to go and stop this when it is less than or equal to 3. Every time you say hello, I am going to increase the counter. So when I say counter, it is just the purpose of the variable, not the name of the variable. The name of the variable can be anything. You can call it counter if that is more intuitive for you. You can use it as counter. You can call it as X, I, T, P, whatever you want. What happens here is first time counter is 1. Automatically counter gets created for you because we are initializing the variable here. Counter becomes 1. It says hello. After it says hello, we come here. Counter becomes 2, says hello. Counter becomes 3, says hello. counter becomes 4 right here because of the plus statement, and then this does not satisfy this condition, so it will exit and come over here. Now when I run this code, it will run 3 times. Hello, hello, hello. So my counter variable is not something that I have to worry about because I am forced to write it and think about it at the beginning. And this is the reason why I really like for loops. So let's think about, so this one, in this example, I showed you like a very silly way of writing a for loop to print hello 3 times. Another useful thing, you can do anything that you do with a for loop in a, you can do anything that you do with a while loop in a for loop. So there is really no special reason to use either loops. It is just my personal preference because I think about the starting condition, terminating condition, and my counter variable, increasing my counter variable, okay, or decreasing. You can do the reverse too. So for example, let me show you to print numbers in the reverse. So this is where I'm doing it in the reverse order. All I'm going to be doing is I'm going to print the numbers in the reverse order. So I'm starting at 10 and every time I'm reducing 1. So minus minus is reducing counter by 1. So counter gets decremented by 1. So the 10, 9, 8, 7, as long as I'm more than 0, I should continue. When I hit 0, I should stop. Now let's see this. Hello statement got executed 3 times. And then my numbers are printing from 10 to 1 in the reverse order. So this one, counter gets increased positively. This one, counter gets decreased using the minus minus operator. So it's just mundane example. And you can see those examples right here also. Here is another example where you don't have to jump only 1. You can jump 2 numbers. You can increase the counter to 2. So when you want to do that, it is an expression I equal to I plus 2. This is what they are using. I'm going to leave this commented here so you can look at the code and know that we talked about it. Oh, you know what? A better thing. I will leave it alone and go to a new demo. So we are not messing it up for you. Week 4, okay, week 3, demo 5. This will be the final demo for this week because we are covering the loops here, and then you have a lab to work on. So here's an example of what I want to do. This is a little more complex example, and we will use our whiteboard. So find all the odd and even numbers between 2 given numbers. Okay, so we know how to find odd and even numbers. If you divide a number by 2 and it doesn't leave a remainder, that's odd. So let's see. Even number means divide number by 2 if remainder is 0, even, else odd. Okay, so this is the logic for determining if a number is even or odd. You divide the number by 2 if remainder is 0, even, else odd. So this is the simple condition. This is for one number. What if I want to find all the odd and even numbers between 4 and 56? I want to know how many odd numbers are there, even numbers are, or rather not even the count. I want to actually know which numbers are odd, which numbers are even between a given range. So I have to repeat this logic for every number between 4 and 56. So let us say they are inclusive. We are including 4 and 56 in this particular procedure. So first I have to see if 4 is odd or even. Then I have to see if 5 is odd. Is 4 odd or even? Is 5 odd or even? Is 6 odd or even? I keep doing that for each number one by one. I'm stepping one by one till I say is 55 odd or even? Is 56 odd or even? Once I reach 56, exit. I exit the loop, right? So here we are repeating ourselves. The only thing that is changing is the number we are using. This is the number that's changing. That is the variable. That is the number that is changing. So this number is going to be something that we feed every single time to the loop. So we have, this is the loop, but it is going to be repeated for every number between 4 and 56. This is the simple logic. So this number changes every time is all we are doing, right? So why I want to use a for loop for this is because I know the lower limit, I know the higher limit, and I know every single time it jumps by 1. The number changes by 1. So that is my increment operator. Lower limit, upper limit, increment operator. So let's write code now. So let's simply say for starting number equal to 4, ending number is less than or equal to 56, num plus plus. I want to increase the number every single time. So this number is an integer. We have never declared it. So this is what you do. For int number, lower limit is 4, upper limit is 56, num plus plus. So the variable num will have 4 the first time, 5 the second time, 6 the third time, so on and so forth. So that is called as num. Our variable now is called as num. So num is going to be the variable that will be 4 the first time. That's the variable. It will be 4 the first time, 5 the second time, 6 the third time, 7 the fourth time, and so on and so forth. The value of num is changing every single time. So I want to check if num is odd or even every time, right? Because I don't have 4, 5, 6. It's all inside the value of num. So I have to check if num is odd or even. Okay. So int, I need to know remainder. That's my variable. Remainder equal to num mod 2. So I take num. First time num is 4, second time num is 5, third time num is 6. How is it changing values? Because we are using it in the loop here, for statement. The for statement is going to feed us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The lower is first. Initially num will be 4. Then it keeps on increasing by 1 till it hits 56. After that we break. We come out to line 12. So if remainder is equal to 0, then we know the number is num is even. If you get a remainder, it's even. Otherwise, it's going to be odd. Okay, I'm not going to do for 56 because this is going to keep running. So I'm going to make it as 14, 4 to 14. Okay, so I get the remainder. So let me explain this part again, why I'm using num and not 4 directly. I can't use 4, then I have to write code again for 5, write code again for 6. I have to repeat this code for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. I don't want to do it because it's not efficient. That is the purpose of using the loop. So I have to see what is repeating. Everything else is repeating except this one guy, right? This one guy keeps on changing. This number is changing. This number, where is this number coming from in our loop? In our loop, it is coming from our variable called num. That's why I'm using it. Run the program. So I changed so it will run from 4 to 14. So it is saying 4 is even, 5 is odd, 6 is even, 7 is odd, blah, blah, whatever. Okay. So this is how we are simplifying the logic by using the loop. So I can do for 56 because, hey, I'm not running code. Let's see now. There. So after 56, it will stop. Okay. So if your screen is all like crazy, you can go here and clear. There. We clear all the value. Click on the back arrow, it clears everything. Okay, so what if you want to not have 4 and 56 and all this here? You want to know, give me two numbers and I will find all the odd and even numbers between those two numbers. Again, anytime if you don't want a hard code, that becomes a variable. So that becomes number 1, number 2. Console dot write line, enter number 1. Then I do enter number 2. It's a number, so we have to do convert dot to int 32 because it is just a integer, and then we have to save it to a variable called num1, and you can call it anything you want. I just like to name it number 1 and number 2. So I'm getting the two numbers. My lower limit is number 1. Instead of 4, I will put number 1. Higher limit is number 2. Instead of 56, I will say number 2. Now it will tell me all the numbers between that range. So let's try two small numbers between 3 and 13. So it says 3, 4 to 13. So see the lower limit 3, upper limit 13. It is jumping one at a time. So that's what we give here. It's jumping one at a time. Lower limit number 1, upper limit number 2. This program is a much better program because we are not hard coding any value. We use the for loop. We first hard coded value, tested it, and then we decided that let's not hard code the value and changed it so we can get the lower number and the upper number as inputs. This is available as week 3 demo 5. I just want to add one more twist to it. What if I want to know the number of odd numbers and number of even numbers? We all know it's 50-50, right? But if you want to know the number of odd numbers, instead of the individual numbers like this, you don't want to do this. Instead, you want to count. I want to know how many odd counts are there and even counts. Here comes our variable called odd. So let's make it 0. We don't know how many are there. Every time you know the number is even, instead of printing it out, just say odd plus plus. Oh, sorry, even plus plus. Here you just say odd plus plus. This is called as counter again, right? All we are doing is we are using a variable to track how many even numbers are there, track how many odd numbers are there. So instead of actually showing this, whether it's odd or even, well, you can do that too. In the end, outside of the loop, we are going to say console.writeLine total odd number count equal to, and then you say total odd number even number count equal to else. Oh yeah, here, see, I have 2 lines but no parenthesis. That is bad. If you have 1 line, you can get away without parenthesis. You have 2 lines, you have to go into parenthesis. Oh, sorry, curly braces. Can't speak today, can I? Okay. Yeah, here, see. Okay, this guy is not the problem. This was the problem. I didn't have a semicolon here. It was the problem. Enter the number 1, that is the lower limit, 6. Upper limit, 23. Now it counted how many odd numbers are there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it counted for me and told me how many odd are there, how many even are there. Okay, so you can use extra variables to track or count numbers if you need to. So don't feel restricted about like how many variables you can use. As long as it makes sense for your situation, you can use it. We can keep building off of this over and over. But here's the concept though. We first write the code bare bone. We identify which part of the code goes into a loop, which one does not go into a loop, like this. And then we decide, is it exclusive or inclusive? What is the condition? What is the criteria? We simplify the logic for one number. Anytime you see a loop, just worry about like how would you identify the basic odd versus even. And write that logic, and you know you have to repeat it for multiple variables. So please go step by step. That's the best way to do it. And don't struggle with the syntax. Go in and take a look. Hope you find this video helpful. It's a little long. I apologize for that.